All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Agent Session. I'm your host for today's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for all of you being here with us this evening as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in this Forex market as we look to close out the week. So without further ado, let's make sure we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper for notes, and let's make sure that we do an amazing job of participating and engaging. If everybody can hear me loud and clear, drop me a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you are ready to go and we can dive into these charts. And I hope it's been a solid week for everyone. Welcome to those of you who just joined us. Let me make sure that, all right, got you taken care of. Let me see here. Brandon is telling us that you need, I'm trying to give you control of your microphone, but it's telling us that you need an updated version of Zoom, so it won't allow me to do it. So definitely feel free to type any questions that you may have in the chat. All right. And I think we are good to go. Mr. Carthage, how are you this evening, sir?
My brother, I'm doing well, man. Today's been a long day, but it's been a good one.
I hear you. I hear you. It has been a long one as we look to close out the week, but you know what? We are here.
Glad to
And
be here.
yep, I'm fired up and ready to go. The charts is something that I'm passionate about, and I hope that all of you are too. So I want to dive right in and take a look at the DXY, right? And we can see that we've pulled back on this 4-hour, tested these, right? Tested support as resistance, and we fell off a little bit today, right? So progressing to the downside. So further turnover. If we go and we look at the daily, you can see it right here, right? You zoom out, further correction to the downside. We've been wondering, are we going to come into this weekly support level, or are we going to challenge this daily zone and continue upwards again? But it looks like the correction may not be over. And one of the reasons why, right, we see that downward momentum is that if you come into trading economics, you see that U.S. continuing claims rise for an 8th straight week, right? So that's a sign that the market could be cooling down a little bit, right? So we see reoccurring applications for U.S. unemployment benefits rose by 62,000 to 1.67 million in the week ending November 26th, well above forecast of 1.6 million. It was the highest number since early February, pointing out that the labor market is cooling and Americans who are losing jobs are having more trouble finding new ones. Meanwhile, jobless claims edged up to 230K, matching expectations. All right. So these are those lagging effects that you heard Jerome Powell talk about in their last meeting, in his last speech. Maybe taking the foot off the pedal a little bit in regards to being so aggressive with the rate hikes to see what the lagging effects are from the previous rate hikes. And we know there's been multiple, and they've been pretty sizable. So these are some of the key data points that we want to take a look at. And sites like Trading Economics, Forex Factory, things like that, make it a little bit easier for us. And I'm definitely grateful for it because it hasn't always been this way, right? Where you could just click a button and get information that you're looking for. Oil heads up, oil heads for sharp weekly loss, right? Again, global demand, right? Want to keep an eye on that. And then U.S. futures steady ahead of PPI data. So if we come over to the Forex Factor, we see Friday, the big news of the day is the core PPI and PPI month over month. And if we look at that for our newer traders, what is it? It's a change in the price of finished goods and services sold by producers excluding food and energy. Actual is greater for forecast. Greater than forecast is good for the currency, right? So you look here, also called core finished goods PPI, core PPI for final demand. Okay, so source change series calculation formulas of 2014 February. Food and energy prices make up about 40% of overall PPI, which tends to mute the importance of core data, right? So this is the core, excluding food and energy costs. So what is the price to produce it, right? Because we know a lot of times that price, that when the cost goes up to produce it, a lot of times that's passed on to the customer, Okay, and we're looking at this as key inflationary data points. So this is going to be very, very important. We also have the preliminary University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report coming out tomorrow as well. So there's a possibility, right? We see some volatility, right, with those dollar crosses and just the market in general whenever major U.S. numbers come out. So we want to keep our eyes on the market. If you're new to the group, welcome. Hey, if you're not trading yet or you don't fully understand it, it's okay, right? Just start to read, do your research, dive in, right? Jump and grow your wings on the way down. You will get it if you commit to it, right? To commit to learning it. So that's that. I did find, right? Because we are, if you take a look at, for one, like the Aussie is moving pretty much across the board. We look at the Aussie dollar, and of course, it's a combination of some things that's going on with the Aussie and the US dollar weakness. So we see that is pushing up, kind of testing this level of 67.97 as the daily Aussie dollar down retracement zone. Okay, and it's kind of bouncing around. I found an article, Pound Sterling Live, that's pretty cool. I'll put it in the chat for everybody, right? Knowledge is power, right? So we got to get it. Make sure you read it. So just put that in there. And it's a good article. I was trying to hunt down some news in regarding the Australian dollar, because we know what the Reserve Bank of Australia is saying, right? The board expects to increase interest rates further over the period of time, but it is not on a preset course. It is closely monitoring the global economy, right? So it's data dependent, right? Household spending and wage and price setting behavior, Reserve Bank of Australia. But as you come down, right, you come into the article and it says Thursday's climb in the Australian dollar helped pull the GBP further away from 9-month highs, right? We know we've been tracking, right? So you start to put the two together, fundamentals and technicals. So we come over and we plug it in and we look at the pound Aussie and we know that we've been making a run. And then we talked about it this morning, I believe, right? Where we said, man, we've got a projected extension, but we may be in for another correction because it reached some highs, major highs, which is what the article was talking about. But we can see here on the daily, from a fib perspective, is retesting the zone, right in that 80-20 zone, and we've got some turnover right now. Okay, we've got some turnover. So hard to determine how far that correction may go, but we have to identify that to determine whether or not we want to trade that correction, right? Or stay bullish or hold our bullish positions. I'm done with it, right? Out of that zone, right? The C to D push zone, I'm good, right? That was a great move, right? Taking that, but now we're correcting. So it may eventually continue long, but right now we're correcting because, right? It says, where am I at? That Australia RBA interest rate decision, let me read it over. Thursday's climb in the Aussie dollar helped the pound Aussie further away from the 9-month highs notched in the wake of Tuesday's Reserve Bank of Australia interest rate decision, and came hard on the heels of the third quarter GDP, right? So GDP numbers just came out, right? If you look back on Forex Factor, you'll see. So the GDP number was softer than many economists anticipated, right? So we all saw that, and you're thinking like, what the odds is still popping a little bit on the heels of that number, okay? But this is why this stuff is important, everybody, especially if you're swing trading. However, the headline of Wednesday's GDP data may not have been the most important detail in the report. The main news in yesterday's Q3 GDP report was the strength in inflation and wage indicators, right? Those data points, right, that central banks like to take a look at. So in this example, the RBA, the strength in inflation and wage indicator, says Felicity Emmett, an economist, okay? So here we go. The household consumption deflator accelerated to 2.2% Q over Q, the highest since the early 1990s. Right? The RBA's favorite measure of broader labor costs, non-farm compensation of employees per hour, rose 2.6% Q over Q. So while Australian economic growth slowed from 0.9% to 0.6% last quarter, further than was expected by consensus, Emmett and colleagues say the most important details in the GDP report were those warning that inflation pressures had continued to build during the 3 months to the end of September. Right? So that kind of inflation development, if sustained for longer, could lead the RBA, right? Here's the key, to raise its cash rate further than it and markets currently expect. A further increase in inflation is expected over the months ahead, with inflation forecast to peak at around 8% over the year to the December quarter. Inflation is then expected to decline next year due to ongoing resolution of global supply side problems, recent declines in some commodity prices, and slower growth in demand. RBA Governor Philip Lowe said on Tuesday, right? So when you see stuff, you're saying, okay, probably getting a pop in that Aussie dollar because of the possibility that they may have to raise his cash rate further than it and the markets currently expected. They're not going to wait for it to happen to start pricing it in. They're most likely doing that now. So that's why we started to see a little pop in the Aussie dollar. Any questions on that? No?
No, sir.
Okay. So it's important, everybody, right? So that maybe you're trading in a certain direction, maybe it gives you confidence that, hey, this is just a correction, but we expect a continuation, or maybe it's time to get out now, things may be reversing, right? You start to kind of figure these things out so we can see across the board where we're seeing some strength in the Aussie, right? And it may be on the heels of what we just read. Okay, so make sure you read that article. There's always some nuggets in there. You just have to go digging sometimes, but it's not like we have to go to the neighborhood library like we used to use the Dewey Decimal System for stuff. We could just turn on our phones, turn on our computers, and we can go to work, right? What a beautiful world we live in. Lots of opportunity. So that's where we are on the fundamentals. Ryan, anything that you might have read or picked up on? I know you had a busy day today, loaded with meetings and everything else. Anything that you might have caught wind of while you were moving throughout your day?
No, sir. Nope, nothing new.
Okay. All right. Well, that's that. So let's move into these charts. And we have that PPI data tomorrow. So I want to just take a quick snapshot and take a look at some of these dollar pairs. We can see here on the daily, our dollar yen, this is a beautiful, right? Doesn't look like much here, but back up to that level, that was a beautiful swing, right? Now we've got this correction, okay? So if you play that swing, just be aware that, hey, we've got data coming out. We got some not so favorable data for the US today. So you see this decline at resistance. It's amazing how things occur in regards to certain reports, certain key data points, as technically you get to certain levels, right? So we came into this resistance level, then you get reports like US continuing claims rise for the eighth week and other things, and then we've got PPI tomorrow. So we're in the midst of a potential 80-20 swing here. So if you move down through the lower time frames, you can see where, right, it was a nice move, right? Back up to resistance, we're into the 382 level now. That's a pretty strong bearish candle, right? Engulfed, right? 1, 2, 3 candles that came out, well, not completely because you got a high there, so I take that back, but a pretty large bearish candle there, a good reaction. But you can see what I was talking about, the 80-20 that was played on the lower time frame, okay? And you can see how it's correcting, okay? So here is our 1 hour, and here's our 80-20 swing. So you can see how that was reflected on the daily. On your 1 hour, you got an up fib, and now we're in a correction, okay? We're in a correction. Here's the 382. So some of us may be out of there by now. Some of us may be looking for more upside movement to get to those targets, TP1, TP2 at the 61.8. All right, some people may not be in it at all, and that's okay, all right? I would be a little bit hesitant to get into it now off this deep correction, being that we've got PPI data tomorrow. That's one that you may just want to let go and then see what happens afterwards, whether or not it just collapses, right, and pushes deeper maybe to the de-extension and daily support, or if the data comes out positive, right, especially on the heels of a not so strong unemployment claims report, then you may see that pop to the upside, right? But if you're not involved in it, I may, right, kind of leave that alone ahead of tomorrow's data. So that's where we are on the UJ, right? We've been moving down, right? And now we're pushing up, okay? So if we come to the daily and take a look at it, right, we've seen a huge correction off that 151 level. And this is where we are. See how you can play that? So overall long-term uptrend, but we've been correcting. So this is how you can identify certain confluences. So if you take that off, there's the overall uptrend. And what do you know? A monster 80-20. Okay. Shallow retracement, less than the 382, pushed up, came into some key resistance levels, 118, 127 zone, and then back down. Right? That's why we play that level. Okay. AB boundary, shallow retracement, 118, 127 zone, back down to the 382. Okay. You get it all the time? Nope. Look how impulsive that was. That just shot to the D. Right? There too. That just shows you who has control of the market. But that's where we are on the dollar yen. We're holding below this 137.63. The catalyst is going to be tomorrow, whether or not we see further declines or if this wants to start making higher highs and higher lows in reverse to get long. It should be interesting. Any questions on the dollar yen? So no active, unless you're already involved in it, no active trade set up right now ahead of tomorrow's numbers. If you are in it, right, and you're in profit, make sure if you plan that move that you manage your trade accordingly, knowing that we've got fundamentals coming up tomorrow. All right. All good? No questions? Awesome. Okay. So let's take a look at this dollar Swiss. Okay. And all right, you see how we're pushing that level. Okay. Past resistance, becoming future support. Is hovering right on time for tomorrow's news. We'll find out a lot. Okay, we'll find out a lot tomorrow. All right, so there we are. All right, it's pushing through it, but we look at support and resistance as a zone, so it's still in the zone. And if you come down here to the 4, right, we're just hovering. Okay, move our box out of the way. This is where we are. Okay. So when you know you have, right, strong data coming out tomorrow that can potentially cause volatility, right? Sometimes things just dud out depending on what the report is. But when you're sitting here and you're consolidating like this, right, within the zone, you don't have to try to time it, right? You don't have to try to time it. If it's time for it to start moving to the downside, we know that it's going to move in waves. Okay, so don't let your emotions get the best of you, right? If you see it moving, right, and you're not already in it or involved, just let it do what it's going to do, because the market always like to take back a percentage of what it gains in one particular direction. All right, so oftentimes doing those reports, you'll get that knee-jerk reaction in either direction, and then the market will recover, and then it'll kind of find its equilibrium and start to move at a decent pace. All right, so you don't have to trade the news right at the time of the news, unless there's something that you do, right? I don't really do it. I know Ryan doesn't do it. Not our thing, but we can just wait, right? What we need is just a breakout and for price to make a determination in what direction it wants to go, and then we'll trade it accordingly. We'll reevaluate things, reassess, and then make some decisions. Okay, so that's where we are in regards to this dollar Swiss just ahead of the report. You can see that's a pretty good view on the 1 in regards to where we sit. All right, questions on the dollar Swiss?
No, sir.
All right, so I know, Ryan, we've had a lot of surprises, right?
Yeah,
with
man.
the dollar this year in regards to reports, labor reports and everything else. to where you read through several reports and they're saying one thing and it comes out and everybody's surprised. So,
For sure. Especially recently, it's been a lot of kind of back and forth. You got one report that'll give kind of one idea and another report that'll give completely the opposite. So, they're not all flowing in the same direction. And so that also adds a level of complexity to it.
It does. It does, right? So it's spot on, man. So that's why we be patient and we just let the market dictate what it wants to do. And then we know how to trade it. We know where our sweet spots are and the type of setups that we like to see. The market will give it to us. We just have to wait. Okay. So some weeks are good. They're fast paced, right? Banging out the pips. And then some weeks it's kind of slow and you have to wait for the next setups to come through and then it gets going again, right? Patience pays as a trader. So that's where we sit on the dollar Swiss. Take a look at this UCAD. Look, right? We're still structured to the upside on this, even with the dollar correction. We know that, hey, we just saw the report. Oil heads for sharp weekly losses. And we'll take a look at oil, right? Stabilize around $72 a barrel Friday, but we're still set to end the week sharply as renewed recession fears. And you're saying Friday because 46 minutes ago, depends on where you're at in the globe, all right? On the globe. So here we are, right? Past resistance becoming future support. Beautiful swing low, right? And we've been pushing long, okay? So we're continuing, right? A little choppy, everything that's going on with the dollar. So we'll see what happens, right? Structure to the upside on the swing, but we'll see what happens tomorrow as a result of the data, okay? On this UCAD, here is the 4. Look at that beautiful double bottom, right? Okay. That's a monster. Right? I wouldn't be surprised, right, if we saw a further correction on that. Look how large that candle was. Okay. Huge candle out of the zone. 151, top of that wick, 160 or so. Okay. 160. So if we run a sub-fib right off of that, right, we had the potential for a further downside correction, maybe back down to 134.92. Right. Hard to tell ahead of major data. Okay. Market may just move sideways through the morning as everybody wait. So the market just may be subdued. And that's where we are on the 1, right? So bullish, right, with a possible further downside correction depending on the data tomorrow. Any questions on the UCAD? No? Right. So when we go through, right, if you're marking up your charts, hey, are your charts kind of looking the same or do you have something different and then why, right? And if you have questions, make sure you ask because sometimes, thanks Tyrone, because sometimes we might be off, right? We might be off. Like earlier this morning, I was running sub fibs on the setup and Ryan was like, well, if you go back up to the top and rerun your fibs, there's a larger fib that's evolved now. So that's what this group is about. Okay, one big mastermind, one big think tank. That's what we want. So if you see something that you don't understand or you might be skeptical of, right, you're not going to offend anybody, right? Ask what you have to ask. That's why you're here, okay? And say what you have to say. All right. So I want to take a look at this NZD USD, and you can see we're still up in the zone on the 4. And we're just bound. I wonder what happened to my chart. Maybe I deleted it, right? But we had a strong bearish candle, right? Broke trend line, and now we've pulled back. All right, what is that? That's a pretty deep retracement on that. Yep. So now we pull back, so things will start to get interesting tomorrow on that. Okay. Strong dollar news, right? We may see that play out to that downside, right? Play out to that downside, we get that swing that we're looking for. If not, everything's going to get blown up and it may push, right? The numbers come through negative. Have an order in the sweet spot there? Yeah, no, I was playing it off the trend breaks, the trend line breaks, so it's just bouncing around on me, right? My risk is locked in, so it is what it is. I'm gonna let it ride. It's pulled back a bit, but that's how the game goes. I don't control that part, but I can control my risk management. All right, so that's where we are. So we'll see. But it hit the sweet spot. We got a nice collapse, but then it's just pulling back. pulling back. So we'll see. I have to do more research on the some more research on the New Zealand dollar. I know what's going on with the inflation and rate hikes or whatnot, but I'm wondering if it's something else. I know there's a lot of back and forth with China, but I don't know if that's it. I don't know if that's the real reason, right, for the overall strength in that NZD currency. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's where we are. If we go to the top, right, we've got that zone marked out, right? So it may push. It may not be done, right? It may not be done. That's why we have our risk management intact. It may get a push right up to that resistance at 64.64. Right, and then we'll see when it gets there if that's what it wants to do. But it's just shy. It tried to get there. Now it seems like it's like a magnet, right? It's trying to gravitate back to that weekly level. I mean, that daily level again. So we'll just continue to be patient. I do have that 80-20 play set in, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That's the NZD USD. If we look at it from the weekly, right? There's a weekly level. That's a weekly level. Then when you move down to the daily, you bring in the daily level. So right around the same zone. But that's been that. I mean, how many weeks is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. 8 weeks. That's good position trading right there. All right. Any the heck's went up. Sure. Any questions on the NZD USD? This is where we are. All right, pushing into some key levels. This is going to be an interesting day tomorrow. Right? I hope there's enough volatility to push it somewhere. I just need it to move. Right, that's what we like as traders. And the good thing about the Forex market, you can make money on the way up and the way down. That's a beautiful thing. So I don't care either way. Just give me something to work with. Right now that we're reaching these key levels. All right, so that's that there. I want to take a look at the Euro USD. See where we are. I know we've been talking about this 106, and boy, there it is. All right. There it is. Euro is being resilient. Okay. So coming right up into that level, that 61.8 zone at that 106. I know a lot of big players are eyeing that ahead of tomorrow's report. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. See if we get a break in a close above. Then we're looking potentially at 107 further in the zone, which is okay. Could play it that way. But you can see how, and I missed this one actually for a smaller move. Right? Look at these wicks here and how that form resistance and how that retest is holding right in that zone. I completely missed that. That could have been I'm zoomed in close, my bad. Let me zoom out. All right, can you see it now? Is that good? Everybody good on that? Yes, no? Somebody talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you zoom. Yeah, from my screen, what I can see is that you're everything's fine, but it's just that you're closed in. Like I don't know what's happened, but I'm not sure if anyone else can see it, but you're quite closed in.
Oh, okay. Are we all good?
It's good on our end. You might
All
want
right.
to hit control and the minus sign to zoom your screen out. On my end, it looks fine.
Okay. Or if you're on your phone, maybe kind of pinch your screen, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've just got a tablet myself. And if that was
Oh,
the case.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Cool.
Good deal. Appreciate it. I was I know when I got my new iPhone, I couldn't figure it out. My I think it was my daughter, 11, was like, "Oh, Dad, just pinch your screen." I was like, "Oh, okay, well." So got it back under control. But that's where we are right now, sitting at these levels. So just continue to be patient, right? That move to the upside, right? You can see how it's just grinding, right? So we've been looking at this saying, hey, we don't have a deep correction, but it's accelerating. Buyers are in control right now. And at that 106 level, we got a D extension. So we've kind of been eyeing that level, right? To see, right? So if you haven't gotten long off the reversal, playing that, then you start to kind of identify some key levels where it may give you an opportunity for a reversal or a break in a continuation. But we're coming into a 4-hour D extension there too, so it'll be interesting tomorrow to see what happens. And then if we look on the one, kind of the same thing zoomed in, right? So it's the matter, right? Do we want to make a higher high? Okay. So for folks that are just a little bit more short-term, zone to zone, see how we broke and we came back, retested, and we're holding, and now we're moving up, right? So you guys remember when we talked about that for like a week, right? If that's your thing, you can use your fibs and your top-down analysis to get your direction, draw your zones, right? And then you just eye your zones. Hey, if I get a break and a retest of the zone and I'm getting bullish momentum, then I'm going to get long, right? I'm going to drop my trend lines and I'm going to get long. Okay, I'm going to get long and move up, right? No matter what time frame you're on, that's 130 pips from zone to zone. Okay, so it's all about the discovery process. It doesn't have to be about you holding a trade for 500 pips. Okay, direction, top-down analysis, get the direction, and then you can do whatever you want to do from there, right? So use proper risk management because we know you don't win them all. So that's the Euro USD. I want to take a look at this Aussie dollar, which we did take a peek at it. Look at this weekly, and you can see how, right, all of these setups are trying to come into these zones, right? It's been beautiful moves to the upside. Okay. So let's see. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Weekly, right? Way overbought. Daily, that's what we're looking like. This is what we're looking like. We actually have another high here. Yep. Giving us another high, kind of giving us that zone, right? Like that. So what are we going to do? Right? What are we going to do? If I didn't have fibs on, okay, and I was just looking at the price action, hey, I'm coming into a key level. You guys see how clean that is? Okay. Look at the break and retest of that zone. Okay. We've pushed up, we've come down, we formed a low here, right? Pretty much this closes out above, right? You got 2 to the left, 2 to the right, that'll be another low there. So then, right, if that maintains itself there, it'll look like that. We need that candle to close though. So it becomes a question of, do we make these higher highs or do we start to reverse out and start to make some lower lows and start to get some breaks and retests of support as resistance, just moving the opposite way. Still a price action game. So hopefully we get a good catalyst tomorrow to break us out of this mess right here. All right. Questions on the Aussie dollar?
No, sir.
All right, cool. So if we come, I want to take a look at this Aussie NZD. I know we've been playing this, right? Starting to move sideways, struggling at this 106.16. Let's see if we can get a breakout there, but we're above the cloud, right? We've been following this one. So that's been pretty nice right now, but based on this 80-20, we got a little ways to go. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can continue that push and that momentum. First to that D extension, we got 106.58. Right, that's a 1 hour level there, and then that 382. Just ahead of that is that daily resistance level. So we want to make sure that we're aware of that. But let's see if it can maintain. Right now, it's moving sideways in the Asian session. We got on the 1 hour, right? Our tickets and the Kijisen has moved above the cloud. We almost got that lagging span crossing over. So it'll be interesting to watch. Take a look at the 4, right? Just getting going, right? Just getting going. Ooh. It's like a fortress right there right now. I hope that breaks above it because I'm in it. Anybody else playing this?
Yes,
Anybody
sir.
else playing this? Right.
Ebony's in.
Having a unit too.
I
All
was
right,
on Monday, but I got out.
you got out. You got out. All right. Did you come out profitable, or you were just like, I'm out? I don't like
I
it.
just broke even. Yeah, I'm like, that's it. It's just been, it was crazy in the week.
It was, it got me earlier in the week because the original setup in the Telegram was off the 5, right? That's when I first spotted it,
Mhm.
and this right here got me. Like, it got me in profit. Like, I was playing it tight. So it stopped me out in profit, and then it just collapsed. So there was the original setup. And it
Yeah.
almost got there, and then it just nosedived. But when it did this and settled in, that's what made me really, I'm like, okay, where are we at on the higher time frame? Because I knew from the daily, right, that it was sitting right in the 80-20 zone on the daily, and it was holding. So then it became like, well, what is it doing on some of these, like the 4 and the 1? I'm like, wow, it's in the 80-20 zone too. So that push that got me stopped out on the 5 was just a push down to the
Mhm.
80-20 zones on a higher time frame. So that prompted me to get back in, and so far it's been paying off. But we shall see with the way it's just hesitating and hovering around this area. Super small candles, but I'm gonna let it ride. See what happens. So that's where we are, right? We're in a down retracement zone. So even if you're looking and you're thinking long-term bearish, you still want to see it correct, right? No matter what chart you're on, it's kind of like universally in the same position, so to speak. So you just want to see it correct a little bit higher, right? And then make its way short, right? We always like high prices. So we'll see how that comes in. So that's the Aussie NZD. Aussie CAD, right? We were talking about this. So I don't know if you guys would continue to watch it, but you got a clean breakout. See that? That's on the 15, right? Michael, you're in. Was that the last pair of Aussie NZD, or you're in on the Aussie CAD on this breakout?
Aussie NZD.
Aussie NZD. Okay. Yeah, I needed to break that level, man. I'm like, come on now.
Back and forth.
I'm waiting because
and then
I
just
drew
drop.
a sub feed. I drew a sub feed from the 80-20 on the 1 hour. So
I got you. And I hear you, right? It is back and forth, sub fib on the 1.
Yeah. So
And
that's
to the
why I got it.
upside. Okay.
That touch on like on the 50 on the dot.
Yeah, it did. It was pretty good. It
Yeah,
is
so
going
I'm
back
in on
and
that.
forth.
I'm just holding it tight, adjusting my stop loss to break even.
Okay, cool.
Just because of the news coming up. So
yeah, I know, right? US news can impact everything.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see if you see that stock market starting to dive off tomorrow, you know that these commodity currencies probably gonna follow. So yep, I agree with you there. But that's been, look at that, man. My goodness. The market knows when that news is coming up. So let me there was another trend that I wanted to take a look at. Here, yep. So right. That tried to break above, we were talking about that, and then look how it pushed back down, right? So just look for a, some people trade the short term moves, but they see how it just broke that false break, and then it's just moving back down. So it's getting close to that daily D extension. So for this CAD Swiss, right, I'm just letting it look, let it finish out. Right? It's been a beautiful move, right? That's a textbook ABCD wave there. To the downside on that one, so I wanted to touch that. Quick look in at the CAD Yen ahead of tomorrow's data, and you can see how we're still just moving, hesitating, right? Head of it. So Typically, a lot of times you're going to see the market start to freeze a little bit. All right, that tried to get some momentum, couldn't get past that trend line. So we might just be ranging a little bit eventually. See if it holds back up. See if we triple bottom. See if we continue to the downside with the oil prices the way it is. Tomorrow's going to move a lot of currency pairs. A lot of currency pairs. And that's what we need. This one here, right? The Swiss yen. Been watching this one with that break. Ryan, what do you think about this, man? You see how that broke back up into the zone? Broke right back above that 144.61 level.
You know, it did, but I was actually looking for that. On that one, let me get back there. On that Swiss yen, I was looking for that pullback, and it's on the one. I'm actually looking for it to pull back a little bit deeper. If you run a fib off the high on the one,
okay.
Run a fib, yeah, off that high point. Right. So I'm looking to see if we can get back to that 618 zone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I was looking for that pullback to happen. If we can get another push to the upside, that'd be beautiful. Maybe even go back to that 149.62, and then see if we're able to stay below that and start making those lower highs and lower lows again.
Okay. Okay. So we're in the same direction right now in the short term.
Yep.
Because I was playing this support. Like when I seen it break back up above that level, I'm like, this is coming right back into the range. So maybe we're looking right. So maybe we're looking to get back to the top of that level. Okay. Okay. So we got that retest. This is just gonna be like this till tomorrow. See what happens. That's a beautiful retest of that trend line though. I can, Joy. I can. You want to take a look at the pound Swiss? Which one? This one?
Yeah, I got into that retest on that trend line.
On this one here? Oh yeah, so you got up a little bit.
Yeah, and I put my stop loss under the trend line.
Yeah, yeah. Congratulations, man. That's a beautiful move. That was clean. Like when I picked him, I seen it break back up above. I'm like, I gotta try to make a play on this, you know. But to take it off that trend line, that's brilliant, man. Yeah, buddy. Let's protect your profit now.
Yeah, I already took partial out.
Oh yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Those plays, man. Those waves are everywhere. Let's take a look at this this pound Swiss. Really nice work. Really nice work on that. Joy, what you think?
I'm still holding short.
Still holding short because of the zone, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right.
I'm having a flashback of a gold play. And it was a double top. And I was like, it's gonna break through that. It's strong enough. And it didn't. So I'm in good profit. I got my stop loss in profit.
Good. Good. Let me good deal. Move that to the outside of that consolidation there. I want to see something strong break through if it's gonna get short. Take these out of here now. Need that. And this is where we're sitting, just moving sideways. I needed to break some horizontal levels. Make its mind up.
I'm at 115249.
What you say it was
558. Wait a minute. 115249.
115249. Okay. Yeah, so you holding on there. You're holding on there. I got out this pair. Was too much bouncing around. I know.
I actually forgot about it, and I was like, "Oh well, let me move this on down."
Right. Yeah, it is. This thing is, man. It's all over the place, right? But we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. It's a lot of pairs just kind of moving, waiting for a breakout. So we need a catalyst. So good deal. What we look like here on the daily? It's just hovering, right?
I've decided, Benny, that especially with the dollar, you know, like
Mhm.
and it doesn't, we can't decide if it's gonna go 30 pips and I'm out. It's like,
Yep. Yep. And I don't blame you for that. And me and Ryan were talking today, like, oftentimes, especially in times like this, we'll trade, like we'll evaluate all the setups, but I might only be in and Ryan might only be in like one setup for the week. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, especially if we're spotting those 80/20s, right? Those moves can be huge, 100 pips, or like you say, like maybe you just, hey, I'm 30 pips and I'm done. So you just kind of adjust to the market conditions. So I totally understand you there. I like it. I like the idea, right? Because there's always another setup around the corner, where with some of the crazy volatility, especially now, like we talked about earlier in the week with it being December, companies closing out books, it can it can get a little sketchy. So, sometimes you might just find that one good setup for the week and say, you know what, I'm gonna let this one play out, you know, and like you say, you can get 30 pips out, 40 pips, you're making money in the market. So first, protect your money, and then second, hey, we want to try to make some money. So I agree with you there. So listen, we cover a lot of pairs. Hey, you might say, hey, I want one setup for the week. Oh, I got this 80/20. I got this bounce off the 61A. I'm gonna let that ride and see where it comes out before I enter multiple trades on multiple pairs. Right. So that's not a bad game plan at all. And that might just be something that you discover that you like doing anyway. That's your thing. So yep. Appreciate the input on that.
I like that. That's a great idea because
Oh yeah.
I do like 20, 25 pips, but with two lot sizes, very small lot sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Then if I hit my target on the 20, 25 pip, then I'll just move the other lot to break even and just see where it goes.
Oh yeah, I like it. I like it. Take notes, everybody. Take notes. That's some good nuggets, right? That our members are dropping. Really good nuggets. So, definitely take notes. Those are great ideas. Great ideas, right? Because here's the thing. You understand the fibs, you get your direction right, you can do very well doing just that. Like for example, right? So we have our overall fib, but all of these price action moves are moving in waves, right? So you can easily come here and manually pull a fib from this swing out of this swing low, right? That's a setup, right? That's a setup on that pullback, right? Just that easy. That's a setup on that pullback, right? So if we come in, like for example, we take a look at the pound dollar, like one that I spotted. Okay, so you learn the overall, right, strategy and where we are, but then look, that's why we urge people to spend time on the charts, because once you start to really see the waves in the market and you got your direction right, look at this one here, right? See what I mean? So look at this correction and this pullback to retest that. That's a way, right? You got an impulse leg down, right? Then you got a reversal, a break of structure and a retest. And then look here, right? Okay. We get right to that D extension, right? That's over 100 pips to resistance is 128. And so you may say, right, those smaller setups, maybe I get back to next level resistance or to the B boundary, right? And I lock some money in. Okay. But once you see it, we always say you can't unsee it. Once you understand that, you can pull it anywhere. Get your direction right. Where's my wave? Right? Where's my wave? You can even have a wave off of this leg here. Right? It's powerful stuff once you get it down. But like Ryan always says, you got to give yourself some time. Right? So here's my swing. I know my direction and I'm going. If I want to get long, where's my wave? Where's my opportunity? Okay. Any questions on that? No.
No, sir.
All right. Okay. So maybe you play a pull back to a trend line like you played on that other scenario. Okay. And then you take it. Maybe you take it straight off a trend line break. Right. Like this here. Okay. Just let the trades come to you. Let the setups come to you. Right. You get your trend line break. Okay, I get above it, right? You can get more aggressive, especially if you drop down to the lower time frames. But if I get above it, right, I'm going to take a shot at it. Or you may say, I like for it to pull back, and then I'll get long on it. Okay? But it's happening all over the place. All over the place. This is why we want the education to be such that you learn how to do it on your own so that you're not dependent on anybody, right? To make money in the market. That's why we really urge that. Okay. Look how that broke out, right? How it retested and then it broke out. You start to see all types of things with the price action. Fibs let me know what direction I'm moving. Okay. Trend lines, higher highs, higher lows, right? All the basic stuff. And you find your plays in the setups that you like. Okay. Ryan, were there any setups that you were looking at ahead of the report tomorrow? That's what I'm focused on because I see a lot of things that are tight. I need them to break out. I need to see the breakouts.
You covered them, and I'm pretty much just sitting tight right now. Those dollar pairs. We looked at the yen quite a bit too. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm just sitting back and watching right now.
Okay, gotcha. See now, look, right? Let me just clean this up. Right. We see that breaker structure is beautiful, right? We corrected a bit, but now I'm looking at it. Okay, way things been going with these yen crosses. Let me. It's not letting me. I want to clear this out. There we go. Get that off of there. All right. So when I start to see these things occurring, we're in between these two levels like this. Right? It's got to do something. Right? It's got to do something. If that breaks out topside, right? Now tomorrow may happen in a hurry and you don't get a chance, but like we saw in those other pairs, this gradually starts to break out to the upside. It's like, you know what? If I get a retest, right, I could play that price action. Okay. If we know what happens, right? So we've already got this breakdown, right? So if we break lower, it's like, okay, well, correction, and then we break low, but be patient, right? I don't necessarily have to trade it off that zone short. I could just wait, right? I could just wait if I have to. Let it break and retest some levels. Okay. So anytime I start to see things tighten up like that and accumulate, I kind of get excited, right? To what could possibly happen next. And then we just monitor it. All right, on that GJ. So like even here, right? How that's just moving sideways in the zone. Sometimes I just want to get some clarity and just look at it for what it is. Right? We've got this push up like this. And we came down and we kind of just moving sideways. Okay. I like that. Okay. I like that. At some point, that's gonna break out. See that there? At some point, that's gonna make a decision. Here's your high right here.
Hey, Benny.
Yes.
You know what I discovered today by accident?
What'd you discover? What'd you discover?
You know where the manual fib that dropped down?
This one?
Yeah. There's a Fibonacci fan on there, and I never pay attention to it. And I've been using it. I just did it. Start using it as my trend line.
Oh. Listen. Well, we're gonna do that. Because I don't mess with it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put you on these charts. You're gonna share the screen one day, and you're gonna show us, tell us about that discovery. So be ready.
I just discovered it. So okay, so yeah, I didn't tell them myself. Okay, but I'll be ready.
Right. So that everybody in the new year, be prepared for that. right? We got to work these charts together. We're gonna work these charts together, get the repetition together. So that's coming. But here's a high right there. We get above that, we may be breaking out and flying, but we'll see how that goes. I want to take a look at I said before we started, we're gonna take a look at this oil. Right? Look at that. All right, coming down. We're bearish. We're bearish. So what do we look like from a fib perspective? Shallow, right? Pull back. We've broken through that 80-20 zone. This probably just going to continue short. Right. Been a bit of a mess to the downside, but it's moving to the downside nonetheless. This is the one you wish you extended your TP on. Yeah, it's moving short, right? It is what it is. You know, we're back below this level, headed to that extension. See if we can get to 65. So that's weighing on the CAD. That's weighing on the CAD. Gold. I haven't traded gold in a long time. A long time. So we're moving up. This is going to be an interesting one for tomorrow too. Look how it retests these levels, everybody. Like, look at that. All right. Well, hey, that's pretty much it ahead of tomorrow, right? We're gonna have gridlock until that data comes out tomorrow, and then we can look at it and reassess everything. But I wanted to make sure we got through a lot of those dollar crosses. Ryan, I covered all of them, right? Dollar crosses.
Let's look at dollar yen.
Yeah, I did earlier.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I did earlier. Right, you see it turning over, right? That strong bearish candlestick. So it's kind of just hovering right there. But that's a nice rejection. There. So that's it. I wanted to make sure we covered those this evening ahead of tomorrow's report. And then when those report numbers come out, we'll make sure we drop the article. Probably from Trading Economics, they're usually pretty quick. Drop it into Telegram, and then hey, we'll be here on Saturday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Forex Weekly Ritual. Ought to be interesting after the data comes out tomorrow. But that's all I have for this evening, everybody, unless somebody has questions that they need answered. That's all I have. You're welcome, Jerry. We thank you. Appreciate you being here. All right. Okay.
Real quick.
Yes.
Thanks to Ryan for clarifying the AUD USD my analysis. And I think the 80-20 is just playing pretty nicely right now. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. Good job, right? Teamwork makes the dream work.
All day
That's
long.
it. That's it. Right. Anything to add before we close out, sir?
No, sir. Be patient, sit and watch, see how things play out, and see where the news pushes the market. If it pushes it into our zone where we need it to go, or gives us the trend line breaks that we need, then we know what to do. So great work, bro. Great session, man.
Appreciate it. Well said. Everybody, have a good evening. See you on Saturday, bright and early for the Forex Weekly Ritual. Good night. You're welcome, Michael. You're welcome.